To begin assembly, unlatch the top latches of the Blu Med container and remove the lid of the container or remove the screws from the top of the wood crate. Unpack directly from the container by carefully removing the items between the packing liners and group according to type near the site. The fabric components will be on top and will be removed first. Keep them folded up as packed and set them aside. The Blu Med container or wood crate contains all fabric and metal parts required for setup of the shelter system. Refer to the inventory list to identify the part names and quantities. Guy ropes, white throw ropes, concrete anchors, shelter, electrical, and container spares kit, tech manual and quick setup guides, plenum, distribution box with light switch, universal receptacle line long, universal receptacle line short, fluorescent lights, light extension cables, one-piece liner, non-slip floor 28 ounces, Blu Med main cover, end panel with 4-inch zippered personnel door, container packing liner, end base right main section, end base left main section, end base center section, side base single stub, side base blank, upright end brace, mid purlins, end purlins yellow, start purlins red, shelter spike bag with double-headed spikes and spikes with D-rings, spike puller, bottom arch red, main arch with sleeve, an upright insert end brace. When the containers have been emptied, relatch for storage. The container should be stored in this manner until needed again. Refer to Blu Med manual for complete instructions, safety summary, cautions, and warnings. Assemble base sections in sequence. Make sure the green side base pieces are installed at opposite corners. Position all base pieces with base hooks facing out and down. Slip all sections completely together and secure with lanyard pins. Align the assembled base sections until they are approximately straight. Unfold the non-slip floor with the black side facing down. Starting at the corners, slip the floor cutouts over the base stubs. Square up the base frame by pulling on the floor until there are no wrinkles, as shown. After squaring the base frame, pull up the floor and drive the double-headed spikes through the pre-drilled anchor holes in the base frame and into the ground, skipping holes in the doorways. Assemble the arches on the ground. There are 4 arch sections per arch, 3 sections with stubs and purlin sleeves on one end, and 1 arch section with no stubs color-coded red. Make sure the red arch sections are positioned on the same end of the arch for all 6 arches. Slip the 4 arch sections together while still on the ground. 2 installers will lift 1 arch section with all joints completely slip-fitted together and carry into position above opposite base stubs. One installer will slide one arch bottom end over the base stub on one side. While holding the arch firmly, the other installer will push the other end down onto the opposite base stub. Repeat procedure until all remaining arches are assembled onto the base. All bottom arches without stubs color-coded red must be on the same side of the shelter. Start with yellow-coated purlins on one end and work toward the other end where red end purlins are secured. First, insert the yellow end of the purlin into the purlin sleeve on the end arch and pin. Pins should be inserted from top to bottom on the lower purlins and from side to side on the upper purlin. When installing purlins, position one person on a ladder and two on the ground. Insert the 3 purlins for each bay simultaneously to make assembly easier and faster. Purlins are slipped into purlin sleeves on the arches and pinned. Mid-purlins are inserted through the sleeves and pinned purlin to purlin. Finish purlin installation with the purlins color-coded red in the last bay of the shelter. Insert the upright insert into the top of the upright. Pay attention to the instructions stenciled on the uprights. The opening of the J-hook on the insert should face toward the lettering. Lift the upright and slip the insert hook over the arch. The hook at the top should have its open end facing inside the shelter. Finish by placing the upright down onto its base stub. Lay out end panel with zipper entry at one end of the shelter with the white side facing up. Tie one end of the yellow base rope to the yellow tie-off cleat. Stretch the other end of the yellow base rope tight and secure it to its yellow tie-off cleat. Secure the end panel on each side of the doorway by running the strap with alligator clip through the metal stirrup located on the door base frame. Metal stirrups are located on the door base frame near the rope tie-off cleat by the upright stub. With 2 people on ladders and 2 people on the ground, lift the end panel and work the contour edge of the end panel over the end arch. Slip the green contour rope under the disconnected purlins and repin the purlins. Keeping the end panel centered, tension both ends of the contour rope by running the rope under the green tie-off cleat and using a foot to push down on the rope while pulling up on the end of the rope. While maintaining tension on both contour rope ends, installers will simultaneously pull down on the contour ropes at the end panel openings starting at the top purlin position. Finish snugging the contour rope by repeating the push-down, pull-up method and tie off to green cleats. Ensure the shelter uprights are aligned with the end panel upright flaps and secure the end panel to the uprights using the flaps with hook and loop fasteners. Using the hook tool, secure the end panel base rope to the base hooks. Repeat end panel installation steps for second end panel on the opposite end. Roll up zippered end panel to the inside. Lay out the shelter one-piece liner along one side of the shelter base so that when the liner is pulled over the frame, the silver side will be on the outside of the shelter and the white side to the inside of the shelter, and the end edge of the liner is flush with the shelter end arches. Throw over white pullover ropes. Snap them to the black straps sewn into the edge of the liner. With 4 people pulling in unison, pull the liner over the frame until the edge of the liner meets the base frame. Take care not to overpull. Attach ends of liner to the end panels by sealing the hook and loop on the face of the liner to the hook and loop sewn to the end panel. Attach the opposite end of the liner to the end panel using the hook and loop sewn to both the liner and end panel. Ensure that the arch sleeves on the white side of the liner are aligned with the shelter arches. With 1 person on a ladder on the inside of the shelter, wrap the liner arch sleeves around the interior arches. Secure the hook and loop flaps of the arch sleeves to each other. Begin at the top and work down each side. Securing the arch sleeves below the lower purlins should be completed later, after installation of the electrical outlets, so that the cables can be tucked behind the sleeves. Lay out the main cover along one side of the shelter. When the cover is pulled over, the ground flaps will be on the outside of the shelter, and the black side should be towards the inside of the shelter. Tie off one end of the silver cover base rope to the silver tie-off cleat. Stretch the other end of the silver rope and secure this end to its silver tie-off cleat. Throw the 4 white throw ropes over the shelter frame. Attach the 4 throw ropes to the 4 black nylon pullover loops located along the base edge of the cover. 4 people should pull in unison on the pullover ropes. Secure the silver base rope on the second side of the unit in the same manner as the previous base rope. The cover ends should overlap each end panel by 4 to 5 inches. Ensure the overlap of the cover is the same at each end of the shelter. Starting at one end of the cover, tension both ends of the red contour rope by running the red contour rope through the cutouts in the end panel ground skirt under the red tie-off cleat, and tension using the push-pull method. Once the cover is tensioned securely, tie off the red ropes to the red cleats. Repeat these steps for the opposite end of the shelter. The cover is properly positioned on the shelter frame when the center of the silver base rope cutouts are centered on the base hooks along the shelter base, and the guy rings are positioned directly on top of the arch frame members. Using the hook tools, secure the silver base rope along each side of the cover to the base hooks. Once in place, secure the cover to the end panel at each corner by joining the 1-inch web straps on the end panel to the black buckle on the cover corners. Lay out the straight section of the plenum on the shelter floor using the center purlins. Roll back the vent covers and attach using the hook and loop fasteners. With one person on the ladder and using the hook and loop straps, attach the plenum to the center purlins. Connect the elbow section to the supply duct from the ECU or air conditioner. Take available hook and loop strap or string and attach it to the side purlin to prevent the plenum from blocking the end panel window. The Blu Med power distribution box is installed on the upright pole adjacent to the 16-inch air conditioner return inlet. Place the Blu Med power distribution box approximately 4 feet high and fasten it to the upright pole with the supplied pin. Facing the distribution box, run the first receptacle line number 2 along the farthest 2 arches. Receptacle lines should be passed through the wire loop at purlin height to hold them in place. Tuck the receptacle line inside the liner arch sleeve along the arch and seal liner sleeves over receptacle line with receptacle outlets hanging out. Taking the other end, run the receptacle cable number 2 around the purlins toward the end with the distribution box. Run cable across the end panel and down the upright to the distribution box. Secure the end of the power extension cable to one of the ports on the adjacent side of the distribution box. Secure the receptacle line number 1 in the same manner as the first on the 2 closet arches to the distribution box. Install receptacle lines 3 and 4 in the same manner as 1 and 2 on the opposite side of the shelter. Note, run receptacle lines 3 and 4 over the doorway and window on end panel. Position a fluorescent light in each bay of the shelter along both sides of the structure, with male plug ends facing the distribution box. Attach the lights to the lower purlins by securing a hook and loop strap around the light, the purlin, and the receptacle cable at each end of the light. When all lights have been hung, begin connecting lights together in 2 chains along each side of structure. Attach the light extension cable to the light string and run cable to distribution box in the same manner as the receptacle line extension. Connect the lights to the port labeled Lights on the top of the distribution box. Double-check all connections prior to applying electrical power. Guy O-rings are located on the cover in relative position to the arches beneath. Lining up with each arch, angle the top of the 18-inch guy anchoring spike approximately 36 inches away from the shelter and drive into the ground using a sledgehammer. Snap the end of the guy ropes with tension bar to the guy loops on the cover. Snap the other end of the guy anchor spike and pull down on the tension bar to tension line.